There is no fantasy series quite like the Stormlight Archive. 5 monstrous volumes of high fantasy, over 1,000 pages each, that are somehow still wildly popular despite its intimidating size. Yet every time people rate these books, the second book, Words of Radiance, is widely regarded as the best one. It even has the highest score on Goodreads. Now, this is crazy to me. I think Oathbringer is the best. So what has led to book 2 earning such a dear place in the hearts and minds of readers? Well, I'm the book guy, and I'll be exploring this very question today. A quick disclaimer, yes, Wind and Truth is out. No, we are not discussing that book. Zero spoilers for Wind and Truth here. Yes, I have read it, and it took me less than 2 days, and I'm still processing the trauma of it, but today's video is just to celebrate Stormlight on a whole. That said, there will be full spoilers for book 2, and a couple of details mentioned about the 4 established books in the series so far. You have been warned. Also, this video is not trying to prove or disprove if Radiance is the best one. It's more about an objective analysis of why people like this book so much. Because I am fascinated by audience reaction. The wisdom of crowds is a baffling phenomenon sometimes, and I want to understand it better. Let's begin. First, what does Brandon think? First of all, the author himself has addressed this very question. Now, I know I watched a video where Brandon discussed this topic, and I literally cannot find it again, despite driving myself crazy searching for it. So if you know the one, please comment and I'll link it in the description. But Brandon once asked himself, why is Words of Radiance people's favorite? And he believes it's because this is the book where the characters have the most freedom to choose. They have character agency. Let's explore that concept. So agency is when the character can make choices for themselves that impact the plot. Writers often call this active versus passive characters. An active character makes decisions. A passive character just goes along with whatever the story wants. If we have a situation such as an army going into battle, an active character might write a letter home, or rally the troops, or run away. A passive character just sort of follows orders without much thought. Active characters are almost always better, because we learn about who they are through their choices, and it's more interesting. Stories are often more satisfying, at least for me, when it all comes down to a pivotal character choice, and everything the character has learnt on their journey so far is tested. This is a strong area for Words of Radiance. All of our protagonists are extremely active in this book, and in many ways, they're more active here than they are in any of the other books. In book 1, Kaladin is a slave, so he doesn't have much control over his life, and his options are limited. The book even draws attention to this, that there are few choices available to Bridgman. The choices he makes are still significant. By book 2, Kaladin is free, and he can be much more of an active character and make choices about his life again. The same goes for the other characters. In book 1, Shallan is trapped acting out of duty for her family, and she's literally struggling to make her own choices. By book 2, she's acting as an independent agent. Then Dalinar is bound by duty as well. He's stuck in a war he doesn't want to fight. By book 2, he's the High Prince of War, and he's in command. So they're all much more active by the time of Radiance. Yet, all of our protagonists become slightly less active in the following books. Not because of bad writing, it's not like Brandon forgot all his writing techniques by that point, but it's because there's a war going on. The characters often have to make practical decisions based on what their enemy is doing. There are bigger forces than them making choices for them. They don't have as much personal agency anymore. So book 2 is special in this regard. The plot has a lot more room for characters to show who they truly are, to explore themselves and the lives that they want to live. In short, it is character agency. Now, Brandon is 100% right in that Radiance has the most character agency, but I'm not sure if that's necessarily why the book is more popular. We cannot predict what will become popular. Fame is the most random thing. Sometimes the weirdest stuff becomes popular on the internet. Also, popularity does not mean quality. They are two very different things. This becomes extra complicated when you start trying to make something popular deliberately. Every author is trying to write a best-selling book. Every movie studio is trying to make a box office success. That's why publishing houses and film companies have whole departments of people with their finger on the pulse of the industry trying to jump on trends and maximize on hype.
We're gonna make you popular.
Yet even with all these professionals trying so hard, movies still bomb all the time. No one is out there trying to make their creation unpopular. Popularity will always have a degree of unpredictability. After all, Brandon never thought the line, "I am a stick," was gonna be a thing. So I want to address the absolute audacity I'm showing here. Yes, I'm kind of contradicting the author about his own work. Now, obviously Brandon is the ultimate authority on the story itself, but as for why it's popular, he could hypothetically be wrong, because this happens all the time. Still, the first reason we have today for why Radiance is so popular is Brandon's answer: character agency. Let's look at a few other reasons we can contribute as well and get more of a full picture. Radiance has clear goals. People forget how important a goal is to your story. There needs to be a reason why we're reading this book. What are we striving for? If the story is just a bunch of stuff happening without a clear goal, then it becomes directionless and boring for the reader. They're not going to get hooked.
We got a show about nothing.
A goal gives the audience a clear indication of the direction a story is heading in. It doesn't reveal the destination, it reveals the journey. Okay? Now, a goal comes in 4 different forms. We have a question, a threat, a target, and a want. Let's break them down. So a question is the start of a mystery. The audience wants to know the answer to something. There's intrigue that drives the plot. That's why crime shows are so popular, because they always start with a crime in the opening and a very clear question of who did it. The next type of goal is a threat. So that's a danger or a problem of some kind. So an evil empire ship, Dark Lord, twisters, or even zombies. The goal is to defeat the enemy or escape it. Either works. The next goal is a target, so something you are striving for. So carry the One Ring to Mount Doom. It's a target. Now, it can be a physical destination or something more metaphysical, like Marty McFly is trying to restore the timeline. It's a target when you are striving for something that you want to see happen. And the final goal is a want, is when a character has a strong desire for something. We see this all the time in classic Disney. They all have the I Want song. So to avoid copyright, I'll just sing it. I wanna be where the people are. I want adventure in the great wide somewhere. I would go most anywhere to feel like I belong. Yes, thank you. Thank you. If the character wants something, then the audience wants it too, and it becomes the goal driving the story forward. So, those are 4 types of goals, and as you've probably realized, it is very possible for a story to have multiple goals that overlap. For example, Stormlight starts with Szeth assassinating the king. That is a threat and a question, isn't it? And side note, if you're writing a story, you want to get your goal introduced pretty much as early as possible. That's why the opening of Star Wars is so brilliant, because it's got a clear threat. The immediate goal is survival straight out of the gate. But I mention all this because Radiance has some of the best use of goals in the entire series. So in Book 2, Dalinar is basically leading the Alethi war against the Parshendi. His big goal is to end the war. So he's trying to unite the High Princes, he's got the whole quest to claim more Shard Blades, and he's making big battle plans. There are twists and turns along the way, but the primary goal for this book stays clear and present the whole time. Meanwhile, Kaladin's goal is protect Dalinar, especially from the Assassin in White. Once again, it is one big goal for the whole book. Even when he gets tempted away from this goal by Moash, he still returns to it at the end. And Shallan's big goal is solve the mystery. She must reach the Shattered Plains and complete Yasna's research of finding Urithiru. So all three characters have one big, clear goal for the whole book. The build-up for these goals is huge, and most importantly, all three of these goals culminate at the same time. The whole book focuses on these targets, and then they come together in the finale. The Sanderlanche is strong with this one. But how is this different to the rest of the books in this series? Don't they all have goals in a Sanderlanche? Well, consider the Way of Kings. The goals are not as clear. Dalinar doesn't know what he wants. He even considers retiring at one point. He just knows that the war is bad and he doesn't know how to get out of the situation. Shallan wants to steal from Yasna, but she's very conflicted about it. And Kaladin, who is a slave, he's conflicted about whether or not he wants to keep fighting. He considers giving up. So all of our characters have a certain amount of doubt around their goals in the first book. Then in books 3 and 4, the goals change mid-book multiple times. Now, changing goals in the middle of a story is a bit of an art form, and sometimes a goal change can lose your audience and leave them feeling frustrated. An example might be The Name of the Wind. The goal of that story is a question. Why is Kvothe working as an innkeeper? Yet the story just gets further and further away from that goal, and it can be frustrating, right? Well, Oathbringer and Rhythm both change goals several times because of the war. Remember, they want to save the city of Kholinar, but then they are defeated, so the goal changes again. And then in Rhythm, the tower is unexpectedly captured by enemy forces, and the goal has to change again. Now, this is good storytelling. You want the bad guys to pose a legitimate threat and interrupt the hero's plans sometimes, but it does mean goals change in response to those interruptions. Radiance is unique because it has the clearest goals and the most consistent goals of any one book. So we can confidently add goals to the list of reasons why Radiance is considered the best. Now, here is another example. Sanderson is famous for his hard magic systems. When Way of Kings came out and the Stormlight Archive began in 2010, he had already written Elantris, the Mistborn Trilogy Era 1, and Warbreaker. So people at this point had come to expect hard magic systems from his books. And yet, Way of Kings actually has a pretty low amount of magic. We only really see glimpses of what's possible. So first we see Szeth using lashings in his assassinations, so that's true. But he's the only one who really uses magic to its full capacity. We do see Kaladin redirect the Parshendi arrows, that's true, and he breathes in Stormlight to survive. Shallan and Yasna both soulcast a few times. But that's kinda it. Unless you count the world itself being somewhat magical, you know, with the Spren and the Shard Blades. But Radiance is where the magic system really comes out. Kaladin flies for the first time. Shallan light weaves. And we have magical duels, the big showdown between Kaladin and Szeth. We see experimentation and testing of powers and abilities. And we redefine what's possible. All of this is so much more satisfying because of the 2-book build-up. These characters are not like Vin, who just has to consume a bit of metal and practice a little bit and she's good to go. These characters really have to earn their magic. And so let's add magical payoff to the list of reasons why Radiance is popular. Next, the characters are happy. Yep, I think this is the book where the main characters are the happiest. They suffer the least. Damn you, Sanderson. You see, once the Everstorm comes at the end of Radiance and the true desolation begins, our characters live very stressful lives. And back in book 1, they have all that self-doubt. But in Radiance, they're in that perfect middle ground where they know who they are and they have all that character agency and they have their goals. In short, they're happy. I genuinely think that this is a reason why it's a favorite book, because it's just a happy place to hang out. Now, it's not perfect, of course, not by any means. Kaladin is beginning to accept his depression, Shallan is facing her trauma and her memories, and there is still the war of vengeance going on, so don't get me wrong. But this is the happiest point in the series. This is even taking into account all the personal growth of our heroes later in the series. Remember, in Rhythm of War, our characters are able to be happy, but it's despite their circumstances. But here, things are going pretty good. They're going so well, in fact, the good guys win. There's a bit of a theme with the Stormlight books. Victory always comes with the sacrifice. Let's look at these. So in Book 1, Dalinar escapes Sadeas' trap, but with massive casualties. Kaladin is freed, but it costs Oathbringer. Shallan becomes Yasna's ward, but her deception is exposed. Then in all the later books, Oathbringer ends on a victory, but we lose Alethkar. Then there are just character deaths to consider. There's always a certain bitterness with Sanderson's victories. Yet I would argue that the victory at the end of Radiance is the most idealistic we ever see in the series. They find the lost city of Urithiru, they defeat the Assassin in White, and the Knights Radiance return. Hooray! What are the costs? Well, Moash turns traitor, and we know that the Everstorm has come and that the big war is about to start. So there is still a sacrifice, but that cost is almost put off until the next book. We don't have to worry about it right now. This is the cleanest victory. Everyone liked that. Let's keep the good times rolling. This book has the least trauma. Holy crap, we love the Stormlight Archive, but it can be emotionally rough. This series is famous for tackling heavy themes and breaking our hearts. We have death and heartbreak several times throughout the series, but the least of it is in Radiance. This book doesn't kill anyone we particularly love. The only real death we have to deal with in this book is Shallan processing the death of her father, but you know, we're not exactly broken up about that guy.
Oh no! Anyway.
You could argue about Yasna's death, but she comes back, so it's even a happier ending for it. Again, there are still emotional challenges our characters face, but they're just not as dark. This is the easiest book to read from an emotional perspective. When you compare it to losing Tien in the first book, and then Evie, you know what, I don't need to bring this up anymore. So we can add, it's the least traumatizing. Fewer characters and fewer plots. These books are big, and a lot of things happen in them. It can become a bit tricky to keep track of everything the further into the series you go. We'll talk about that in the next video. In The Way of Kings, we have a huge amount of setup to do. There's world building everywhere, character establishments, mysteries, and histories. Radiance is where a lot of the setup is done and we can just dive into the action. Then the later two books start introducing more protagonists. So it's no longer just Kaladin, Shallan, and Dalinar in the driver's seat. Instead, it now takes all these other characters who were side characters in the past and promotes them up to main cast level. Our list of protagonists now include Lift, Renarin, Adolin, Elhokar, Szeth, Navani, Yasna, Venli, Eshonai, Moash, Taravangian. See what I mean? It's a lot of characters to keep track of. The plot lines expand in the exact same way. Our characters now split up. We have war on multiple fronts. Now, the series is never going to be as complex as Malazan, okay? But it does get a fair bit more complex as the series progresses. However, Radiance is the perfect middle ground. The setup is done, and the complexity is still to come. It's just all the fun stuff. In terms of comprehension and readability, Radiance is the simplest of them all. So let's add easiest to keep track of to the list. So that's a list of reasons that we can be pretty certain of. It's more or less a fact that these have influenced Radiance's popularity. But there is one more reason I want to add that's a little less factual, a bit more speculation and opinion based. A matter of personal journeys. This book may be popular because of individual tastes. No one has the same taste in music, films, and books, etc. That's the beauty of art. So it's possible that everyone likes this book by just the sheer coincidence of a lot of people's personal tastes aligning. Maybe? Well, here's another way to look at it. We all relate to the Stormlight experience differently. Millions of people have found comfort, encouragement, and hope in these pages. The ideals our characters speak are powerful truths. Life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. We can all relate to these ideals differently. Is it possible that people just relate to this book the most on a personal level? After all, the great ideal of this book is, I will protect even those I hate, so long as it is right. Maybe that's something we all share. That innate human desire to love more, to show mercy and kindness, even to people who don't deserve it. Because deep down, that's what we all want for ourselves. Someone to be kind and loving to us, even if we don't feel like we deserve it now. Maybe this book has a deeper meaning that resonates with us stronger than all the other books. Maybe it's popular because this is the most human desire of all, to overcome hate and to do what is right instead. Maybe that's why we love Words of Radiance. Well, thanks for watching. I've got another video coming out in just a few days about Rhythm of War. Is it the worst Stormlight book? I'll be exploring why that book may be less popular and defending it too, because it's a damn good book. I also have heaps of videos out already introducing books, helping you decide what to read. If you want to support what I do, there is a shop, a Patreon, and there are my books. The Immortal Investigations. Those who backed the Kickstarter actually just got their ebooks today as I'm recording this. So the physical books are on their way if you want a copy. The official release date is the 8th of January, so keep an eye out. Otherwise, you can like and subscribe and do all that YouTubey stuff, and tell me below, why do you think Words of Radiance might be considered the best Stormlight book? Do you disagree with that idea? I would love to hear your thoughts. So, I'll see you next time. I am the Book Guy, and I hope you enjoy a good book today. Bye!